Alright, guys. My name is Bamgboye Oluwapelumi, and today we'll be talking about user experience research. I personally, for one, this is the part of user experience design that I love the most because it's the part of user experience design that allow me to understand the user I'm building for, to get insights from them as to the product I'm building, help me inform to help me make informed decision about the design I'm about to make. So as you journey along in the user experience design field, it is very important that you constantly, make research, make findings about the products you are trying to build. So that's my own personal view about user experience, and I always find it very interesting to talk about because once you understand the basics of user experience design as a designer, you begin to design products that are user centric. What do I mean by user centric? Like products that your users can actually um, your users can relate to, they can use, they can understand and be able to perform certain tasks with them. So does anybody here have an idea of what user experience research is? You can just open your mic so that you can talk. um, Otisi, can you say something about user experience research?
No.
Okay, what about Chindera?
I believe user experience research is research done when you want to find the problem or find details on the problem and solutions that have worked before or solutions that have been tried before to see how they can affect your current product.
All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. Thanks for sharing. John Benedicta, do you have anything to say about user experience research? What's your understanding about user experience research? Okay, I don't think he's on the call. El Shaddai, do you have anything to say about user experience research from your past experiences or knowledge? All right, I don't think it's there either. So let's just get right into it. So, what is user experience research? In addition to what Chidera has said, user experience research is a systematic study of target users and their requirement to add realistic context and insight to design processes. So, user experience research adopts various methods to uncover problems and design opportunities. So, what that basically is saying is, in order to understand our target users, right, we have to, um, speak to them or find out what the problem is so that we are in the context of the problem we are trying to solve. We are trying as much as possible to understand what the problem is and ensure that we are able to explore as many opportunities as possible to help us solve the problem better. So user experience research help us to become an advocate of the user, right? Like I said, building a product that is user centered. A user centric product means you are advocating for the users. You are ensuring that okay, you have a target users, and the product you are building is is not just kind of streamlined. It's streamlined to their need. So in a way, giving them voice in the product development process. So oftentimes we don't have, when we are designing a product, for instance, you are building an education app that is addressing the students of your school, wherever you school or wherever you work. So let's say you are trying to build an application, and the users are not there when you are probably pushing all the pixels. So from user experience research, you are able to, bring the ideas you have gotten from those users, because they don't have a voice when you are pushing that pixel. The only thing that speaks for them is the research you have put into the product. Do you get me? So if they are not there present, if they are not present when you are making all those design decisions, how do you get them in the room? The only way you can do that is by,
Order to buy.
uh is
Huh?
hello, El Shaddai, please can you mute your mic?
Sorry. Wow.
Yeah. All right. So the only way our users can be represented in the room where we are designing or where we are making informed decision about our design processes, the only way we can get them there and represent them is through user experience research, by documenting our our findings and ensuring that we always and constantly refer back to those findings in order to help us make design decisions, right? So what does user experience help us understand, right? The user experience has a sphere of influence that includes helping us understand our target users. So who are our target users? Like I said, you are building an application for students, right? So your target users are students. You are not building for working class people who goes to work daily, or for engineers, right? Students can also be engineers, but your target user in this case are students, right? Or let's give a better example. Let's say you are building a Medicare application, right? Our target users are the doctors, the patient, and so on and so forth. So user experience research help us to understand these target users, right? It helps us to be able to say these are the people we are focusing on, because definitely, although there are some applications that are general, for instance, your mobile banking app, like every class of people use it. You are a student, you use your mobile banking app. You are a working class, you use you are an engineer, you use your mobile banking application. So it cuts, those kind of application cuts across the entire sphere of user experience design. But there are some applications that you are designing that entails that you have a target users, and user experience research help you to understand. And user experience research help you to understand these processes, these people better. So also, user experience research help us to have a mental model of what we want to design. So this means that from past researches, like Shidra mentioned in his understanding about user experience research, we can get mental models about the products we are trying to build, right? For instance, if you are working on a fintech application, right? Because someone has definitely worked in that line before, you can have a mental model of what fintech application look like. Sure, you understand? It gives you this kind of um, pre-existing notion about the product you are trying to build. Like, let's say for instance, if you want to build an, I don't know why I'm referring to education this much, maybe because I feel like most people here are students, but it's okay if everyone is not a student. So I'll try as much as possible to um, mix most of these industries that I'll be talking about. So you are building an application for an HR company, right? So there are companies like Bamboo, there are companies um, like Binge HR and so on and so forth that are already existing to guide you, to inform you about what the industry standard for building such an application are, right? So those mental models help you understand your user better, right? And the user goal as well, it helps us understand the user goal. What is this person's reason for wanting this kind of application, right? So you're not just designing because we feel okay, this industry needs another application, it needs another platform. There are some users that requires a certain goal to be able to use a product efficiently and more appropriately, right? So let's say, for instance, your mobile banking app. Not everybody wants to do transfer with their mobile banking app. Some users are just there to, recharge, pay their bills, recharge their phone, pay for electricity bill, pay for DSTV subscription, and so on and so forth. So all these things are the user goal. By understanding the user and speaking with them, gaining insights from them, you are able to pinpoint all these goals and build a robust application to serve their purpose. It also helps us to understand user pain points. So what are pain points? I believe Mod has spoken about this in the design thinking process. So pain points are the frustrations of your users, right? They are the things that your users, they are the challenges your users are facing while using a product, right? So let's say, for instance, in an existing product like your mobile banking app, let me use that example again, right? Users find it difficult to perform certain tasks. For instance, they want to be able to convert their naira into dollar using their mobile banking app, even though that's not possible here in Nigeria. I don't even think it's possible anywhere, because that would be that would be a lot. But yeah, there are fintech application that does that. I think Rice application does that. So let's just assume that's a pain point, right? That okay, users cannot do that. So by speaking with those users, by understanding those users, you're able to understand that okay, this is the problem. Our users cannot change their money from naira to dollar using the particular application. That is a pain point. That is a user's pain point. So these things, user experience research, help us to understand our user pain points. Then the usability of the product. Now, is our product usable? When I talk about usability, I mean, is it easy for them to navigate through the application? Does your choice of colors, does your choice of typography, does the layout of the application you are building, does it align with the user? Like, does it make sense to them? Are they able to perform an action easily on your application? So user experience is help us to know if these things are right and they are wrong. And as I proceed in the course of this discussion, you'll be able to understand better what are the kind of user research method that help us to understand each of these points that I'm making. So accessibility. So accessibility is a big discussion. I believe David is very big on this, and I think everyone as well in the design industry should probably ensure that we build accessible products. And what do we mean by accessible products? Building product that is usable by everyone, not necessarily people who are physically or mentally disabled, right? But people like us who cannot use that product at a particular point in time, right? So let's say, for instance, I have someone who has all the application on their phone blown out, like all the icons and everything is not in the regular size that you have on your phone. Everything is big. You understand? They set all their icons to medium, to large, and so on and so forth, because they find it difficult to see it when it's very small. It's not like that person has an eye defect, but building an accessible product puts that kind of person into consideration, to know that there are some people that might not see it closely, not because they have eye defects, but because they need to enhance the icons on their phone, right? So that is very, very thoughtful of the company that is building that particular product or the phone or whatever it is, to put into consideration the class of people. So it helps us to understand and build a product that is accessible for our users. Like the placement of your button, does the color contrast help the users to be able to click the button? Because in the end, you want to consider the business goal as well. And accessibility help us to have high conversion rates when it comes to color contrast of the call to action buttons that the users are clicking, right? So all these things help us to understand our users and help give us a it helps influence our design decisions when we are designing. So it also, in a broader environment, right, in a broader environment as well, it helps us to, kind of understand what a group of people, a set of people want in a particular product, right? What do I mean? Let's say, for instance, you're designing an application for a particular demography. In this case, let's use the Nigerian electoral process to make an example of that, right? In a particular community or in a particular local government, they are trying to conduct an election and you want to build an application for them, right? So you want to understand the kind of people that are in that environment, the kind of vote they want to make, the kind of, are these people knowledgeable? Are they intuitive enough to sorry, are they literate enough to understand that kind particular products? In a broader environment, you want our users to be able to, as much as possible, use the product we are building. So user experience design help us to understand, the demography we are building for, the people, the set of people, the group of people we are building for and designing for. And also, user experience research help us to understand key terminologies and concepts in the niche, right? For instance, when you want to design for an healthcare application, right? You want to be able to know the key terms in that particular niche, right? You don't want to be designing an edtech application where you are supposed to be using available oncologists. You are using available engineers. You understand? You are able to understand the niche in which you are designing for, right? Am I still on this call? Hello, everyone.
Yes.
All right. If you have any question, you can just open your mic. I don't mind being interrupted so that we can clarify things as we go. So, does anyone have any question? All right, I'll just assume no one does. If you do, please kindly interrupt me. I'll be glad to answer. So what are the types of user experience research? So there are two major types of user experience research, right? So the two major types are the primary research and the secondary research, right? So the primary research is the simplest and perhaps the most effective way to come up with data to get a better understanding of the audience from which you are designing for. The purpose of primary research is to validate design ideas and concepts early in the design process. The data you collect from primary research allow you to design meaningful user-centered solutions. So what this is saying basically is, in user experience research, the primary research allows you to, is like the simplest form, right? It allow you to gain a deeper insight as to what the user's problems are, right? Why the secondary research is when you use existing informations, right, to validate your design ideas. I'll get into detail about primary research because it's what we'll mostly do when we are trying to design. But let's talk more about secondary research. The secondary research is when you use existing books, articles, research materials to validate your design ideas and concepts or support your primary research, right? So let's say, for instance, you want to design an application for an agri-tech company, right? And it only makes sense to begin from trying as much as possible to go on Google, search for existing articles. Like, okay, let's say, for instance, you want to understand the weather condition in Nigeria, or you're trying as you want to build an application that solves when a particular plant is seeded and harvested, right? So you want to understand the weather condition in Nigeria. So what you do is, when you want to build that kind of application, is your first step is, go to Google, type in what are the weather conditions in Nigeria. I mean, what are the weather conditions in a particular season in Nigeria, right? So those are secondary research. Now, from the list of the pop-ups Google is bringing for you, probably an article from 2010 or from 2011 or from 1999. I mean, you are able to, gather insight from those articles. That's what secondary research is, right? You collect information from existing material. It can even be in the library, right? You can decide to visit a library to study from past informations that has been published to help us make an informed decision about the particular product you are trying to build, right? So from our secondary research, you are able to gain context behind a user interface design, right? So you like I said earlier, when you are trying to build a particular product, you have a mental model of what that particular product is about, right? So from existing UIs, this is a form of secondary research as well. You can gain insight as to, including a certain feature, a particular feature in that particular application you are trying to build. So let's say, for instance, I'm trying to build a savings application, and a popular piggyvest application has a safe lock, right? Now, during my secondary research, when I'm trying to research into that application, I see that safe lock will be a good fit for the application I'm trying to build, right? So for secondary research, the UI decisions I'm trying to make on my own application can be influenced by the safe lock feature that is on piggyvest application. So it helps us to gain context behind the UI design we are trying to build. Then it helps us to build a case for our design decisions, right? For instance, the common competitive analysis that you guys must have been hearing about, where you from your market research, you find few applications, you want to know what their background is, how long they have been in the market, how the product have been used in the past, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threat, and so on and so forth. You want to be able to know that, when you are building a case study or you are building a case, right? User experience, secondary research help us to, be able to build a robust case, not even if not robust, at least to help us understand the product better. And it helps us to reinforce the data you gather from primary research, right? So primary research basically is going to people to understand them, which we will cover a lot more in the course of this discussion. So secondary research help us to reinforce all these information we have gathered from our users. Now, in context of the products you are building, how has past research influenced them? I hope you guys understand that. Like, how has past users influenced that particular sphere or that particular decision we are trying to make? So that's what secondary research is about. So let's discuss more about primary research. So primary research basically is the most, should I say, the most appropriate research in user experience design research, because it is the most commonly used, right? And it helps us to understand the goal we are trying to achieve. And there are two major types of primary research, which are qualitative research and quantitative research, right? So quantitative research is an attitudinal research method that helps us analyze the body language, feeling, expression, and the reaction of a particular user, right? So qualitative research is a one-on-one interaction when we speak one-on-one to our users, right? We want to be able to speak, like ask them questions, schedule an interview session with them, be able to, observe the particular environment in which we are in. I mean, speak to a group of people to further gain insights as to what their problem is. So it's a one-on-one interaction with a user or a group of people, and it is usually, less structured. There's no paparazzi about it. It's just, let's say, for instance, I want to build an edutech application, I think a lot of these happen a lot on Twitter, where people just reach out to you and say, okay, can you help us test our product? You are doing a usability testing on a particular product. Can you help us test that particular product? These are kind of qualitative research. Or let's say you want to build a particular product and you want to understand your user better, so you schedule an interview session with them, a one-on-one interview session where you ask them certain questions. We get to how to choose a research method that best suits your design, right? In the further, as we discuss further, right? So that's what qualitative research is. Quality. It gives us a quality insight as to what the user's needs are, right? So quantitative research, now quantity, is a behavioral method of research because it takes into account people's opinion, observation, and users. And this is best done when you are trying to quickly gain insight as to what a particular demography, a particular group of people, a particular set of people think about a particular product, right? So qualitative data is designed to collect facts, actions, and numbers. It is structured and statistical to help you draw general conclusion from a research. So quantitative research helps you to kind of generalize what a set of people think or a group of people think about a particular product or about a particular design you are trying to build. So qualitative, please keep this in mind, qualitative research put into consideration the attitude of people, while quantitative research put into consideration the behavior of people. So qualitative research has certain methods, which include, I mentioned them, interviews, focus group, and observation, right? We'll get into details about that. While quantitative research puts into consideration surveys, putting out forms. I'm sure you guys must have seen, please kindly let me fill my form. I'm trying to design something, fill my form. That is quantitative. While qualitative is when you speak to someone one-on-one or a group of people, or you try to observe what the environment is saying about the particular product you are trying to design. So let's dive deeper into qualitative research. So like I said earlier, it's an attitudinal technique that enables one-on-one interaction with a user or a group of people. So qualitative research are usually less structured and delves deeper into people's thinking and attitude. Let's say, for instance, interviews, right? I want to build a particular product. So I want to be able to understand who the user is. So I go ahead and ask, okay, what's your name? What are your hobbies? I want to be able to understand the attitude of that particular person. So while they are speaking, probably when I've gone deeper into the interview session, probably trying to understand their problem better. Let's say, for instance, in this case, I'm trying to understand student attitude towards savings, right? And when they begin to speak, it began to speak from a point of frustration that, okay, this savings is very difficult for me because I have little to less income from home, and how do I save from that? That person was expressing a form of attitude to show their deep frustration. So interview sessions like that help us to understand this kind of attitude and help us to be able to segregate between what the user's problems are and what are their reactions towards that particular problem, right? So all these things put into consideration the attitude of the particular users in the product you are trying to build. I'm sure you must have seen it a lot where we are trying to build a user flow, a customer journey map, and we start to we start to consider what the feeling of the particular users are. Maybe this is beyond the scope of this particular class, but I can quickly show you one from my portfolio so that you further understand what interview helpers do, right? Okay, I think this is one in which I to give an insight as to what I'm trying to say. So yeah, so in an interview process, right, you are able to understand these feelings, the attitude, right? So when they are trying to download the application, they have mixed feelings. So she doesn't know how that application can help the situation on ground. So they are represented by emojis, and when she's happy, they are represented by, okay, she's kind of happy that she can do this, right? So there's an happy emoji, and she's amazed. The It helps us to understand the user's feeling. Sorry for diverging, but I think that helped me explain better. So it puts into user feeling. Hello. Hello, does anyone has anything to say? Okay. So you put into user feeling what the users feel about the particular product. So focus group as well. So qualitative research also focuses on a group of people. Let's say, for instance, like the example I gave earlier, you want to design an application for a demography of people. Let's say in a particular zone, right? They want to do an election, and you want to understand what those set of people, that demography, what their knowledge about technology is, their perception to it, their level of literacy, the age range of the people that are most likely to vote there. I mean, it helps us to understand all these things. Or let's say, for instance, you are building an institutional app, where, for instance, you are building for a bank application customer service unit. I mean, they are a group of people, right, that you are trying to design for. So those are kind of qualitative research that help you gain an insight deeper into the problem you are trying to solve. So scenario observation as well. So you don't necessarily have to. It doesn't necessarily have to be one-on-one interview or speaking with a group of people. You want to be able to observe your environment as well. So a popular phenomenon in user experience research is when a particular store, a bookstore, wants to redesign the structure of the application, and after the structure of their book arrangements, and after the redesign, they notice that users were not actually getting to buy more from their store, right? A redesign is supposed to help the user find the books better, right? So, but after the redesigning of the application, why am I saying application now? After redesigning the shop and the environment, they noticed that the sale did not go by any means, right? So a user researcher was now trying as much as possible to a user researcher was trying as much as possible to understand why those kind of actions are that way. So they observe the environment, noticing that the reason why the shop is not receiving much sale from the redesign is because the users find it difficult to understand the new structure. They are so used to the old structure that maybe probably someone who has been buying books from that particular store for ages, now comes there and everything is now rearranged. They don't know where to find the kind of book they want, right? So it helps us, scenario observation help us to understand the environment in which we are designing for, right? You want to be able to understand people's attitude towards a particular thing without having even to say anything. By just looking at them, you understand, okay, this is the problem. Usability testing, what does that mean? Usability testing is when you are able to test your products with users, right? You want to be able to test if the product is intuitive enough, if they can navigate through the product, if the choice of typography is legible enough, they can understand the choice of color, and so on and so forth. So usability testing is mostly done at the initial stage or at the end of a design. So I'm currently struggling with a client now who does not have budget for usability testing, and we are we are close to the end of the product, and when we rolled out the product, the users that use that the potential users of the product find it difficult to understand the product, right? They found it difficult to understand what the product is actually about. So now, let's say there was a budget for usability testing in that particular company, right? And during our design process, we have conducted usability testing, both moderated or unmoderated usability testing, and users have given us feedback about that particular product. We are able to further understand what are the problems and why are our users having such problem with a particular product. So usability testing is a form of qualitative research to help us, build a better product that is usable by our users. So card sorting as well. Card sorting is a more advanced kind of qualitative research that is done in large organizations or when you are building a robust system, where you gather a lot of info, like everyone in the team gathers a whole lot of information from different ideas they have in their head, and we start to sort all these cards in a way that features that are related to each other are grouped together, right? So that when we are making those decisions about what features should stay on the app and what features should be removed on the app, we are able to easily go to the cards that have been sorted and kind of say, okay, yes, this one makes sense than this one makes sense than this one, we should keep this and we should let this go, right? So what are the types of quantitative research, right? Quantitative research is a behavioral method that helps us collect pattern, blah 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 blah, draw conclusion from the research. So determine, let's say, so the previous one I talked about is quality, right? So now let's talk about quantity, right? So quantitative research is a behavioral method of collecting facts, actions, and number. It is structured and statistical and helps us measure and draw general conclusion from the research, right? So I'll just speak about two, so that because I have another call by 7, so I'm trying as much as always to be fast. So let's talk about surveys, right? We rolled out a survey. Let me quickly show you one. Colovest, right? No, not that one. So you rolled out a survey to help you gain insight as to what the user's problems are, and you begin to receive feedbacks on what those particular questions are. Let's say, for instance, how do you currently save and why do you save that way? So this is like a quantitative kind of research, right? Where I rolled out a form and I got response from those forms, right? How do you often save as a student? Let's use this for instance. Never, sometimes, and often. Look at the response now. Now the response is on a chart, right? Like this is the quantity of people that actually save sometimes, very often, and never, right? So quantitative research, this that can be very confusing sometimes, but yeah, it's better to always understand what these things are so that you can decide on which one better suits the research you're trying to perform. So quantitative research help us have an understanding. Like, we don't know the people that are saying, okay, they save often, they save sometimes, or they never save, right? But this gives us like a statistical view of how many people, the amount of people that saves sometimes, never, or very often, right? So that's what quantitative research does. So it gives us like an understanding of what a group of people or is a demographic thinks about a particular product, right? You can also ask questions to help us further clarify what that particular demography thinks, right? For instance, what comes to your mind when it comes to saving and investment? How do you plan your, all these questions are related. This question is kind of giving insight as to what this particular demography is thinking about that particular product. So because of my time, A/B testing is a form of quantitative research that help us, pick between two pick between two features of a particular product you are trying to build. Let's say for instance, I made this is what A/B testing look like. I'm trying to choose a style for my user, right? So what I did was, build two style of that particular product. A button that say learn more and has border radius around it and is filled, right? And a button that does not have a border radius or a filled button around it, right? But an arrow in the front. So as a user, so I wrote out, as a user experience designer, right? I want to be able to understand which of these products can be usable for our products in the end, right? Which of these particular features does our users understand better? So I rolled out an A/B testing where our users can either choose between feature A or feature B. Do you understand? Now the one with the highest statistic win. That is the one with the highest statistic, like, kind of takes the preeminence, right? So that the users, in that way, users understand feature A than feature B. So that's what A/B testing is about, and we can do this on real life application where we have two states of that particular application and we are able to choose which one works better in a real life scenario. Also, usability testing, I've made mention of that. In it's not even so I don't even think it's not supposed to be here. It's part of qualitative research, so I'll remove that so that when I'm sharing the slide with you, you can better understand it better. So choosing the best method for your project, right? So not all user experience methods are created equally, and some will be a better fit for a certain project than the other. So what does that mean? Every project are unique in their own way, and because every project are unique in their own way, you can't say, okay, for every project you are doing, I want to be using quantitative research. There are sometimes that the situation might not warrant that you do that, right? So choosing the right method, you have to put into consideration the kind of products you are building. Are you building an app, a website, or a software? Let's say for instance you are building an app to quickly, that you want to quickly roll out to people and get back feedback using the lean UX method. I'm sure you guys must have heard about that during your design thinking process. So lean UX method is the kind of method that you get an idea, you build on it, you push it out, you get feedback, you improve on that product, you push it out again. You understand? Let's say you are building an application in that kind of environment and you want to quickly understand what the user feel about that particular product. You can use a quantitative research, right? Because you quickly want to get insight. You can roll out forms and so on and so forth like that. Or let's say you want to build a product. There's something in computer science we call the Waterfall Model that's probably entails that entails that you build you want to build a robust system. Do you understand? You want to build, let's say for instance, a payroll kind of application for an organization. That kind of entails that you understand fully well what payroll is. You want to use qualitative research for that kind of thing, right? So the kind of product also determines the kind of method you choose in building in the user experience research, right? So the type of clients, there are some clients that don't even care about research whatsoever. They just give you functional requirements, and what you do in those cases, do secondary research method, to kind of you kind of find out, existing applications, existing UI, and try as much as possible to gain idea from them and be creative about them. The type of clients, there are some clients that are particular about user experience research. They want to see all the statistics. They want to see all the how the UI is affecting the back end. So they want to see all those statistics to show that the system they are building is actually meeting a target need. So the project stage as well, like I said earlier, so there are some usability testing that you conduct at the initial stage, and there are some that you conduct at the end of the project, right? There are some that you quickly roll out an A/B testing, to ensure that you get the user's perspective or point of view about a particular feature or about a particular style, and so on and so forth. The environment as well. Do you understand? Like I mentioned earlier, you are building an application for a customer service unit in a bank, or you want to build a product for a group of community, for a community. You can use observation. You can try to observe the scenario. You can schedule one-on-one interview session with them. The time frame of the project as well matters. Let's say, for instance, a client reach out to you that they want to push out a product, they want to reach an MVP in the matter of 1 month, for instance. You understand? And you kind of look at the complexity of the product and you be like, man, you don't think you can do research for this, right? You just have to, stick with secondary research where, quickly, look at ideas, build from ideas that you have gathered in the past or from your past experiences. I mean, those are ways in which you choose method. Those are factors that influence your decision when you are trying to choose a research method. And you can it depends on the resources that is available. Like I said earlier, a client of mine have been going back and forth now because they don't have a budget for usability testing, right? It's small. It's something I can do on my own, which I think is what I will definitely do. If there's no budget, I will create a budget for it, because I'm trying as much as possible to create a product that is usable by everyone, right? So the resources also matter. Some companies don't have the budget for research, so you have to think on your own. So some companies don't have budget for qualitative research. Some companies don't have budget for quantitative research, right? So it depends. When you are trying to choose all these methods, you want to put into consideration all these factors that might affect the product. So targeting the right users, targeting the right research participants, right? It is important that we target the right people that are going to use our product. First, you want to make sure that the participants we recruit are representative of the existing and potential users. I mentioned at the beginning of this discussion that I don't want to. I'm less concerned about a patient if I'm building an edutech application. These are not my audience. Do you understand? Like Coloverse, for instance, I'm trying to build an application for students. So my first question is, are you a student? I'm trying as much as possible to streamline my answers, my responses, in a way that my target audience are only students, right? So this in itself puts you off if you are not a student. That okay, this person is trying to build a product for a student, so I should probably not answer this particular question, right? So it is important that we recruit a representative of that particular product you are trying to build for. Do you understand? When we are recruiting for a user experience research purpose. So conducting screening interview is the one way to ensure you recruit the right person, right? It's still linked to the previous one. When you are recruiting the right people, you want to ensure that these people are the people you want to build for. If you are building for children, the people you want to recruit are their parents, right? you are building for students, it makes sense that you speak that. Let's say for instance you are building for OU, you want to build a product for OUI students. It only makes sense that you speak with OUI students about the problem in their school. If you are speaking with OAU students, they will probably tell you about the problem in OAU, problems in OAU. So you can also recruit from your panel. Shall you understand? What this means, you can recruit from your stakeholders. Probably ask your stakeholders to further understand what that product is all about. Shall you understand? You can speak with your stakeholders to give you a deeper insight, an in-depth knowledge about that particular product you are about to build, and you can recruit. You can hire a research agency. You can hire UX research agencies as well. I've not done this before, but I know a lot of companies do it. Where they hire people from a user research agency. I think one that is pricing in Nigeria now is Fair. Spiri or something. Yeah, you can look them up on Twitter. So you can hire a user research agency to help you get information from users to inform your decisions. So analyzing and presenting your data, this is very important because, like I said, user experience research help us to, it gives voices, it gives our users voice in our design process, right? So sorry, are people still on this call? Okay, awesome. So collecting and organizing your research data, transcribing the interview notes after you have spoken with all these users, right? You want to be able to organize those notes. What does this person say about this particular thing? What does this person feel about this particular thing? Still on Coloverse. So while I'm talking about that, let me load my raw so that I can quickly show you what organizing is. Organizing those notes in a way that you can easily say, okay, this is what these particular problems are, and this is a way that I want to solve this particular problem. I mean, referring back to to your user experience research, by using empathy maps. Like, I'm sure you guys must have heard about empathy maps and so on and so forth. But okay, let's use this or this. Let's use Coloverse because I've been using Coloverse. Alright, so this is like an organization. This is me organizing my all those information in that form, right? These are the problems that I've identified, right? These are problems. These are possible solutions to them. Now, these are the features I come up with. Now, I'm organizing my notes, so I can always refer back to this and say, okay, this lack of proper education about saving, right? So, what is the possible solution I came up with during this particular user experience research, right? I mean, these are the possible features. Like, this is organized, right? Organization, it really matters in I want to show you more example, see if there is anyone. Oh, okay, sorry, there's actually an error there. But if you want to learn more, you can always reach out to me. Explore your data to uncover findings. You want to be able to explore the data into details. You understand? Like I said, this is like the fun part for me, where I read, from all this and trying as much as possible to locate a problem and trying as much as possible to come up with solutions and features. It's very fun when you start to, explore all these data and see how they can help you design a better product. Identifying key themes, right? Like the information architecture, all these things have a large influence on how you present your product, right? So by using information architecture, by using user journey map, user flows, I mean, those are the kind of things you can use to analyze and present your user experience data. I don't think I have much time now. I would have shown you all these things in details where they have been used. Okay, I think I still have church open. So alright, so this is a product I worked on for my portfolio. I mean, from my user experience research, right? I've been able to, from this is a secondary form of research, right? Where I use computative analysis, right? So this is like the secondary research where I use one-on-one interview one, interview 2, interview 3. This is an empathy map, what they think, what they say, what they do, what they feel. Do you understand? This is a qualitative research where I rolled out a form. I mean, I got information from the users, and what do they think about that particular product. I mean, these are user personas from my user experience research. All these informations are from my user journey map, you know the requirement elicitation, the user flow. You understand? I mean, all these things are ways in which you can present and analyze your data, right? Is everyone still there? I paused it for a moment. Okay. All right. So those are ways in which you can present and analyze your data. So yeah, we have come to the end of this. Does anyone have any questions? Questions? Yeah. Hi guys. Questions? All right. You can ask in the comment section as well. I don't know, network is this now.